Founders always believe they need more marketing, more leads, more visibility, more ads, more conferences. Need to be everywhere. But what if the real problem isn't exposure? Rather, it's confusion. In this episode, Saul Marquez breaks down why most healthcare marketing fails and how founders can simplify everything using one framework: owned, earned, and paid media. Healthcare entrepreneurs, are you ready to rewrite the rules for your business so you can have more time off, a great team, and more income while creating a positive social impact? Then you are in the right place. Welcome to The Provider's Edge. I'm your host, Sabrina Runbeck. I'm a provider, an international peak performance keynote speaker, and a best-selling author. Let's open the gateway to profitability for you today. My guests and I help healthcare entrepreneurs and startup founders like you break through barriers so you can control your business, control your life, and control your future. This is your defining moment to be a disruptor in healthcare. All right, look who we have here, Saul, yay! The founder and CEO of Outcomes Rocket and global agency helping healthcare brands scale impact and growth with more than 20 years in sales and marketing at Stryker, Medtronic, and many, many more places that you guys know. He launched the firm to close critical gaps in strategy and community, especially in that commercialization space. We were just talking about it before we hit record, is that there are too many options when it comes to marketing yourself. And when there's too many options, guess what? We have that bias to say, what do I choose? And most founders, especially in that earlier stage, they said, well, Sabrina, I've been running ads. We're changing all different things, but I really don't like doing that. So maybe I'm just hanging off to a different team. I have this budget, but I'm also speaking. I'm doing this. I'm also going to conference. And some place I have a booth. Some people, I'm just trying to hit as many conversation. And it become freaking chaos. Right? I'm in pain just hearing about it. It's stressful, okay? It's not fun. Building business and go-to-market strategy should be a streamline, should be something that you have enough information, data point, KPI, so you know whether it works or not. And Sal is one of the experts in that. And that's why we have him in a room. So we don't get into that surface level of marketing and actually produce something people want to see, be aware, understand there's a repeatability, and they will actually convert into a check or a contract. Thanks, Sal, for being here.
What an opener. I love it. Good to be here, Sabrina.
Yeah, so me and Sal are conference friends.
We are.
We've done a lot of, I've held different conferences that we are media helping to promote the people attending, speaking, and representing themselves. I think when people think about conference, let's just use that as a first example, right? I think people love the energy of a conference, right? The rejuvenation of, wow, see this company, that company. But then it also becomes very complex and chaos because there are rows of just displays. How do you even figure out what's the best strategy when you leverage conference as one of your marketing tools?
Well, Sabrina, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. Man, it's been a few years since we did a show together, right? Because you were on my podcast, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years ago? It's been a while. Your pitch was one of my favorite pitches, by the way.
Thank you.
You sent me a video. Oh, that's so personable, and that's what you do. You're very personable in your approach. And I think that makes a big difference. For the folks listening, this is one of my favorite topics. Sabrina, you mentioned conferences. I'll take a step back and say, and we'll get back to conferences, but the book, The Art of War, I always quote this from Sun Tzu. He said that tactics are the noise you hear before the war is lost. And what he was referring to is something that we see in marketing all the time. Like Sabrina said, there's so many tactics. There's conferences, there's podcasts, there's webinars, there's email, there's AEO, there's SEO, there's so many things. So Where we see a lot of people fail is where Sabrina said, is that there's so much that you get confused. And wherever you find confusion, you find failure. So one of the first things you want to do is really spend time understanding what your strategy is and document it. I like to quote a McKinsey study from 2022 that surveyed healthcare marketers, and the number was 28%. 28% of healthcare marketers actually have a documented content strategy. When I saw that stat, Sabrina, it made me sad, but it also made me excited, because with it being so low, what that says to you folks listening is that if you actually take the time to document your strategy, your personas, and you get all of that in order, you're only competing with 28% of the market at that point. Everybody that doesn't, they're throwing money and luck at it and see if it works, what sticks on the wall. So you put all that together, then you do the marketing. And what happens with the soup of tactics, I'll give you a framework to better understand it. It all falls under one of three things. So you have strategy, which we talked about, with Sabrina emphasized. Then you have owned, earned, and paid marketing. That's what you have. And if anybody tries to complicate it, they're trying to sell you something.
Exactly, right? Like that's it. It's amazing how we do this all the time, right? We are the body who does a whole body diagnostic for these companies. And then we can say, like, okay, then you're ready for capital raising, or you're ready to get that margin, profit margin much higher. But if you don't do this beginning work, you'll never get to that point, because the statistics of no one documents everything, right? And then there's no content planning either. Is that when we are talking about SEO or Gentech search, right, it's about very specific messaging that has to repeat in itself. So we talk a lot on preparation. It's because if you feed AI bad stuff, it will generate bad stuff. And if you train AI, or even not AI, your team, right, an individual member, especially marketing and sales, there need to be something repeatable. So everyone talk about the same way, the same storyline. Otherwise, you could create confusion. We seen a lot of time is people always like, no, we just need more visibility. I'm like, well, I don't really understand what you do yet. Your selling point is not painful enough for me to say, oh, I get it. I know why people have to have it. Otherwise, you can do all these amazing things, right? I'm a clinician, I'm going out there, I'm a PhD, I'm this, I'm that. But people feel like you had a good talk, but they still have no way to seeing why they needed to reach out to you. What is it that you actually do to use all these media to convert? So we're creating more vanity and more confusion than a true path. So talk us more earn, paid, and own stages. I think some people understand, some people is like, what do you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, that whole thing, it happens more often than we admit, but like you go to check out a company and you read their website and you're like, what do they do? Like, I still don't understand what you do. It all goes back to that messaging. And if your website's wrong, your emails are falling flat. If your website's wrong, you're not getting the interest from media for the PR you're trying to get. It all falls apart. So when we work on earned, owned, paid, and by the way we set those up, they're actually intentional in that order: owned, earned, paid, because you should not be spending ad dollars. Like Sabrina's saying, your ad money, you should not be spending ad dollars if you don't have your owned marketing in place and you have some earned marketing. So let's talk about what it all is. So owned is everything that you own. So that's your website, your value props, that is your social media. You can also have owned stages, such as a podcast. So I'm on Sabrina's podcast. This is an owned platform for her. However, it's earned for me because I earned an opportunity to be on Sabrina's podcast. So this is an earned opportunity. Earned is OPS, other people's stages. And so earned can be a stage like a podcast. It could be a live stage speaking opportunity. It could be an op-ed contribution to a media article. You know what? UGC is earned, user generated content. So if somebody gives you a Google review, or if they unsolicited or solicited write a LinkedIn post about how great your company is, that's also earned. right? So UGC, a lot of people don't think about user generated content is earned. And by the way, earned could also be bad, right? Like you could have reputation management issues here if you're not doing things right. So make sure that, hey, if you have any needs there on the reputation management side, that you're fixing that. But that's earned, right? And then you have paid. And so, what you've done on the owned and the earned side is really work from top of funnel awareness, mid funnel consideration. People are starting to think about you, bottom of funnel conversion. You've proven out sort of like a system that works, a funnel. And you know that when 100 people hit your site or 1,000 people listen to your podcast, you know what's going to happen, that at the bottom, you're going to get one sale or 3 sales. You've seen it over and over. And so only then, when you have a funnel that repeatedly works, then you throw money on top of it, because now you're going to predictably know if you increase numbers, you're going to get output at the bottom of the funnel. So that's owned, earned, and paid.
Yeah, I think the great point that you mentioned is that if you just throwing money at ads, whether it's you're creating a specific video just for that one event, product, service, whatnot, but you haven't really tested, then you have to spend all this money to test it. Instead of when you have your own platform, then even from let's say our LinkedIn post, social media, any other platform, it's actually a free way to test that out, whether the market even care about or not. And then you can see what are the higher engagements from the comments, the likes. So people actually care about those type of content. Now you know if you really want to put some money behind it, those are the things that actually work. You don't have to throw a lot of money when you don't even have a basic foundation, right? It's what we're constantly talking about. You're trying to build a castle on top of sand. So when the foundation is not there, eventually doesn't matter how many level you're trying to build, it's going to crumble, because everything on the bottom, you have different messaging, different type of people you talk to, right? And people just don't get you. However, it's not to say you couldn't do a brand optimization, right? And some people do have to do a complete brand restudy, but that's usually a 6 months process. And so one of the first thing, I'm sure Sal talked about this a lot too, is brand identity. When you start a company, in that first couple years, you really have to nail down what's your true brand identity. Start looking at your highest competitors who already made it in that domain. And then how are you going to be learning from them and also separate yourself from those people. And we like to have, right, podcast is fun, right? We also have our newsletters and all that stuff, because there are people can write, like people can talk, right? But you have to also find your own self in a sense of like, what do you like to do, right? If you're not a writer, we won't advise you to start a blog, start a LinkedIn newsletter. You can't keep up.
That's important.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I think, Sal, you mentioned it so well. It's like we have to have consistency. When there's no consistency, you won't see any result from that. And that's why many people don't plan, because if there's no consistency, you can't measure. How are you going to plan the future? And that
Totally.
bring back to, even you recently published the article and review, right? So give us a little bit of background of how did that all come together?
Are you talking about the ABM report?
Yeah, the ABM report.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, by the way, I totally agree. Consistency, execution. We got the year of the horse this year, Sabrina. The year of the horse. It favors doers. The horse is kind of like fast, it's independent. And in my mind, this is the year of execution. This is the year where you gotta execute. And so, ABM, account-based marketing, is taking a very strategic approach, and it works really well in healthcare. It's taking a strategic approach with your highest value opportunities and doing things in a way that don't scale. Right? And I know we talk about scalability, but if you really personalize a campaign for a client that could literally make your year, and you commit yourself to that, and you work on it. And by the way, you pick, call it 25 of those clients, right? And you land one of them. You're very intentional about your go-to-market, and account-based marketing can help you really just get the results you're looking for. The estimated average ROI. So in our report, we surveyed 771 marketers. And this is sort of like ABM in 2025 and emerging trends for 2026. And the average ROI from ABM programs is 137%. So that is literally like the highest ROI out of any marketing tactic that you can do. And part of it is because the ABM approach is strategic in nature. So the ROI alone is sort of a big reason why you should consider doing this. Now, the good news is that 71.2% of organizations that took the survey are currently implementing ABM strategies. But there's an opportunity for them to take those strategies to the next level with the use of AI. And so that's sort of where the survey focuses, ABM 2.0 and different things that you could be doing to make ABM work for you.
Awesome. So we'll have the link in the show note below so people can read the ABM article of what that come about. Give us a 60-second of kind of overview of what that strategy looks like. There are going to be a lot of people who don't really have a marketing hat, right? And so break it down that way.
Yeah, totally. So the elevator pitch on ABM is this. I told you about the top 25, right? So that's sort of like that. This is what you call enterprise ABM. Your largest clients, you have multiple roles to influence inside of an account, and you triple down on those top 25. That's enterprise ABM. Then you also have the tool really that is called more deal acceleration. You could use ABM for deal acceleration by taking a look at your pipeline and thinking to yourself, okay, out of all these opportunities that are in our pipeline, we could focus resources and efforts to close those. Deal acceleration hyper focuses on those deals. I'd say maybe pick about 100 accounts that you could focus on, and then focus resources, campaigns, customized landing pages to make sure that you're giving these folks white glove treatment so that they feel it, and you could get them from consideration to decision faster. So that's acceleration. And then you have, your standard ABM, growth ABM is what we call it. And that's where you could it's less customization than you would on enterprise or deal acceleration. And so you're looking at maybe, you segment your accounts based off of, ICP specifics. So maybe you're targeting large physician groups. I'm just making that up, but 100 plus physician groups. And so you're going to put together a campaign because you know that this is a segment that's really valuable to you. You do semi-customization that still feels very targeted. And then you run campaigns based off of that ICP narrower. If I'm going to give you a number, it's 200 to 300 accounts max is what you're working in that. So it's enterprise ABM, it's deal acceleration, and it's growth ABM. And then, there's everything that goes with kind of the tech stack that you're going to deploy to make it happen, which doesn't have to be complicated, by the way. In our survey, we outlined out of the 771 people that did it, only a small percentage use ABM platforms like Demandbase and things like that. I think it was like 30 some percent. I'll get the number for you. Yeah, I'll get the number for you. So my point there is that most people piece together what they have already in their tech stack. You don't have to use Demandbase or 6sense or Demand Science or anything like that to make it happen. It does not have to be complicated.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we always talk people is doesn't matter if even a small campaign, right? Something that we even build for our client is that what we call a 90-day relationship front door is that once you meet someone, whether it's in person or online, you do have to have a simple follow-up system so they don't forget about you. So you can actually convert into a deeper conversation, proposal, and something, right, on the back end. If you don't do that, it's not going to happen. And that can be so simple. It can be just plug into an email automation, put some simple triggers, and stop the rest of them when appointment is booked, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. If you wanted to add the bells and whistles of text message, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, right? All that can be done. But think about what is the resource you have now that can just deploy. And so you're not losing out. And then it's also on sales point, when you have these people concentrated, narrow down, that's how we build things as well, right? You add some customization. This is all the mental health people. This is all the women's health. This is all the digital people, right? The messaging become more customized and people feel like, oh, you're not just sending it to everyone, right? I got so many emails that think that I am either a surgical center or I'm a medical practice, which is neither. right? And so,
Yeah.
which is so off. And that actually is damaging your reputation when you're reaching out to people when you're so far off. And I think just because someone lists me as a clinician, especially with hospital connections, then you shouldn't just, you still have to screen your best people in a targeted area to be able to reach out and double down. We can talk about this all day long, and then, but it's
Definitely.
exciting. So we'll make sure that you guys make sure to read the report and hand off to all your marketing director, your teams, whoever is doing that. And so they can dive a little bit deeper on that.
Yeah, and what I would add to what Sabrina just said is like, this is the year of execution. So take that report and do something with it. After you take a look at it, ask yourself, what am I going to do with what I just learned? And make it happen. And if you feel like it's overwhelming, it shouldn't be, and you want to chat about it, obviously you guys could reach out to us or Sabrina, but do something about it, because this is the year of execution.
Exactly. Sal's very active on LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn. He has massive account of amazing podcasts from his network. There's so many different, again, right? We talk about there's so many different ways to go to market and to create a marketing channel. You just need to figure out what's the right thing for you. And that's Sal's expertise. So reach out to him, make sure that you actually execute and figure out what you guys are working on now. We appreciate everyone for listening in. Until next time. Thank you for listening. Remember, the positive change we're seeking starts right here with me and you. If you are a fan of the show, or if you are just having struggles or success that you're either experienced in the past or are experiencing now in the healthcare industry, these matter to all of us. I want to hear from you. Visit sabrinarunbeck.com/connect and send me a direct message. Talk soon.